After my meeting with Alice, I thought a lot about what she'd said. Those words, nervous boss, kept coming back to me. I began to realize that Alice was expecting me to handle the situation on my own, probably because she was extremely busy herself on a critical project. That's why I had called the one-minute manager for help. He was a senior manager in another company and a long-time family friend. Everyone called him the one-minute manager because he got such great results from his people with seemingly little time and effort on his part. When we met at lunch, my problems must have shown on my face because the first thing he said was, "So being a manager is not as easy as you thought, eh?" "That's an understatement," I answered. I lamented that back in the good old days before I became a manager, things were a lot easier because my performance depended strictly on my own efforts. In those days, the longer and harder I worked, the more I got done. That formula seems to be working in reverse now, I told him. As I went on to describe my problem in greater detail, the one-minute manager just listened, only breaking his silence with an occasional question. His questions got more and more specific as the conversation continued. He asked me which aspect of my work was taking the biggest portion of my time. I told him about an avalanche of paperwork in my office. It's horrendous and getting worse. Sometimes it seemed that all I did was shuffle papers without ever making any progress on the real work that needed to be done. I labelled it the triumph of technique over purpose. It was a paradox. I was doing more but accomplishing less. It seemed that everyone in the company needed something from me yesterday, things that might have been important to them but had little to do with getting my job done. And when I tried to focus on one matter, I would inevitably be interrupted to attend to another. I was spending more time in meetings and on the telephone. By the time I took care of all the paperwork, meetings and interruptions, there was just no time left to implement some of the ideas I had for improving our own operation.